looking for players whose name on the front of the sweater is more important than the name on the one on the back. I look for these players to play hard, to play smart, and to represent their country. These were the words that came out of the great American ice hockey coach, Herb Brooks. I can personally tell you that being an athlete has a lot of rewards, but it takes a lot of hard work to achieve those rewards. It is something that will not be handed to you on a silver platter. Herb Brooks is a great example of an athlete and coach that shows how his actions and words influence the American culture as a whole. Today I will be telling you about the influential American hockey coach, Herb Brooks. Today I will be telling you about his background, about his coaching career outside of Team USA, his coaching career with Team USA in the Olympics, and how he has influenced American culture. His career in hockey is something that started at a very young age. Herb Brooks was born on August 5th, 1937, to his father Herbert Sr. and his mother Pauline in St. Paul, Minnesota. He grew up in St. Paul where he laced up his skates for the first time. In the 2014 article, Herb Brooks Stitching Together St. Paul's East Side, Deborah O'Connor explains that Brooks attended Johnson High School where he led his team to a state championship in hockey in 1955. After his stand-up career at Johnson High came to a close, he decided he wanted to continue playing hockey at the University of Minnesota. Brooks was also a member of the 1964 and 1968 United States Men's Olympic Hockey Team. From 1960 to 1970, Brooks played on a total of 8 U.S. men's teams, including the 2 Olympic teams that he competed for. The passion for the sport of hockey was found at a very young age for Mr. Brooks, but it was the passion that continued through his coaching career that made him into the American icon that he is. After finishing up his playing career with the Golden Gophers and Team USA, Brooks wanted to continue to use his knowledge to also help others pursue their own goals and dreams through coaching. In 1972, he was hired for his first ever head coaching job by his alma mater, the University of Minnesota. In the 2014 article, The Dom Once Again Deserving of His Respected Title, author Patrick Roos explains that Brooks paved the way with 3 national championships. Brooks coached the Golden Gophers from 1972 until the 1979 season. Through the time spent with the Gophers, he was lucky enough to coach his team to 3 national championships in 1974, 1976, and in his last season, 1979. He finished with a very impressive record of 175 wins, 101 losses, and 20 ties. After his time at the collegiate level came to an end, he coached the New York Rangers of the National Hockey League, or the NHL, for 4 years, where he became the first American-born coach of the Rangers to win 100 games. There is no doubt that Herb Brooks had a great coaching career between his college coaching resume and his professional coaching resume, but it was his time in the Olympics where he really made a name for himself. His coaching debut with the Americans was a very memorable one in the 1980 Olympic Games in Lake Placid. At 42, many considered him too young for the job. He was also criticized because he expected his players to change their game to his style of game to compete with the ever-so-dominant Soviet Union. In 1980, the U.S. hockey team used amateur players that would compete in the Olympic Games. This means that there would be no professional players on the ice, making it more difficult to beat the well-organized teams. The fact that the team would need to be carefully selected was very relevant. Brooks received even more criticism when he had his team picked after just one day of summer tryouts. Brooks had a plan and he stuck to it. He did not necessarily pick the best players, he just picked the right ones. He knew he would not have the most talented team at Lake Placid in 1980, but he promised he would have the most in shape and conditioned team on the ice. In the first game of the 1980 Olympic Games for the U.S. hockey team, they managed to tie the game up late against a very talented Swedish team. After salvaging a tie against the Swedes, the Americans pulled off an upset against the Czechoslovakians, led by their coach, Herb Brooks. After the important win, Brooks found himself in a good place with a very hot team. His team went on to finish the pool play round with an impressive record of 4 wins, no losses, and 1 tie. Up next in the middle round was the Soviet Union. The U.S. and the Soviet tensions were running high the way it already was. The match was proven to be more than just a hockey game for both teams. The Soviets had just invaded Afghanistan, and President Carter considered this a massive threat on world peace. With all this known, there seemed to be even more pressure on the shoulders of Brooks and his young American hockey team. In the iconic hockey game that was dubbed the Miracle on Ice, the Soviets went up early, but the Americans tied the game in the final seconds of the first period. The Soviets were never down until Mike Eruzione puts the Americans up 4-3 with just 10 minutes left in the game. The Soviets could not solve the American goalie Jim Craig for the rest of the game, and the U.S. went on to win. This was a team that was never supposed to win this game, but under the great coaching skills of Herb Brooks, he was able to have his team ready to give it their all. The U.S. went on in the next game to eventually win the gold medal against the strong Finnish team, and the first gold medal for Brooks. Brooks eventually went on to also win a silver medal in 2002 with Team USA in Salt Lake City. The wins and the medals were something that did not matter to Brooks. He was more concerned about helping out these young men to grow as individuals. The Herb Brooks legacy was something that has been lived on for many years. On the 25th anniversary of the Miracle on Ice, the arena that Brooks and his Olympic hockey team won gold at was renamed the Herb Brooks Arena. Shortly before that, in 2004, Disney produced a movie called Miracle, based on the events of the 1980 hockey team. Kurt Russell portrayed Mr. Brooks as the movie's main character. Brooks also has numerous statues resurrected in his name across Minnesota, most recognizable in St. Paul. He was someone that has been characterized as a dedicated father, coach, and American. As part of the Minnesota High School Hockey Tournament, annually the Herb Brooks Award is given to the player who is most qualified hockey player in the state tournament who strongly represents values, characteristics, and the traits that define Herb Brooks. Brooks was inducted into the National Hockey Hall of Fame in 2006. The inscription reads, "A man of passion and dedication, Herb Brooks inspired a generation of Americans to pursue any and all dreams." According to Brooks' longtime friend Lou Manning, in the 2006 article, "More to Brooks Than Just a Miracle," his legacy is taking a group of talented kids that nobody gave a chance of winning to molding them into a group that would play at the top of their ability at the proper time. Brooks unfortunately passed away in a car accident in 2003 in Minnesota at the young age of 66. The legacy of Mr. Brooks is something that will live on throughout U.S. history. Today I told you about the influential American hockey coach, Herb Brooks. I told you about his background, about his coaching career outside of Team USA, his coaching career with Team USA and the Olympics, and how he has influenced American culture. In the words of Herb Brooks, "You were born to be a player, you were meant to be here. This moment is yours, so why not go out and take it?"